で今日時間が非常に短いので、多分あと30分くらいしかないんですよね。
4時25分に終了です。
で、簡単に、これ結構たくさん書いてあるんですけれども、多分この辺ちょっと訳して、こちらでちょっとトリビアのクイズで、また皆さんお聞きしたいと思うし、あとちょっとロールプレイ最後にみんな日本のビジネスミーティングに対してどういうふうに、対応できるかをちょっと一緒に学びましょうということで、簡単になんで私の話を聞いてほしいということで簡単に言うと、私1991年だいぶ年なんですけれども、その時に文通友達がこれ10年前の写真です。その時に、私はいつか日本語で手紙を書けるようになりたいという動機が出てきて、その文通友達が、私そのもともとドイツ出身なので、その文通友達が片言の英語で、私も片言の英語で、彼は1回だけ、ちょっとひらがなで一番最後によろしくお願いしますって書いてあったんですけど、私何もそれGoogle 通訳なかったので、だから図書館から辞書を借りてもなかなか訳せなくて、必ず日本人を探してこれなんて書いてあるのって聞かないといけなかったので、そっちから動機が出てきたんですね。で1996、97年に、留学をしました。AFS 留学生協会というところがあって、そこで、1年間日本の愛知県豊田市に行って初めての留学生として、そのちょっと田舎の高校に留学させていただいて、英語の先生もよく英語喋れなくて、私母国語英語ではないのに頼まれて、ちょっと呼んでくださいって言われましたの。別に英語で育てられないのに、いいの、私の英語より全然いいのでやりなさいって言われたんで、そういう形で、高校留学の経験をさせていただいて、でその後は私の地元のドイツのハノーバーというところなんですけれども、そこで日本一展示会、エキシビションが多いので、日本の、アルバイトとして日本の会社のために、少し、通訳とかの仕事をさせてもらって、で2000年に、大学に入って、で国際経営と日本学科を専攻にして、で2002年、2003年に、初めてのその実業的な経験するために、当時は NTT ドコモがそのモバイルコミュニケーションの、先進会社だったんですよ。i モード、多分誰もご存知ではないんですけれども、高橋先生ご存知ですかね。はい、みんながここでテキストを書きながら、日本でもインターネットでメールを送りましたね、携帯から。スマートフォンまだ iPhone の時代前です。でその時に、NTT ドコモと、在日、ドイツ商工会議所、German Chamber of Commerce で、インターンシップをさせてもらって、やっぱり将来的にも何か日本に関しての、ビジネスをしたいなと思っております。でまずもうちょっと本当の経験するためには、地元の、ハノーバーに小松研究のヨーロッパの原稿がありまして、でそこでヨーロッパ、アメリカ、日本の間にちょっと調達、purchasing 関係でいろいろ10年間くらい、やらせて、で2015年にこちらに寄港して、みんながなんでマイアミ、なんでドイツ人がマイアミに来て日本の仕事してるの？ですね、あんまり大きな理由はないんですけれども、私友達がいました。また日本の文通友達がいて、でアメリカの文通友達がいまして、で彼がポンパノビーチにちょっとこちら北の方に住んでて、で一回この間ぐらいかな、2004年に呼ばれて、でちょっと遊びに来てって言われて、でそこでいいな、私も一回マイアミに住んでみたいなと思って、そっちから2015年にもう結婚した後に、娘が生まれた後に全部ちょっとやめて、日本とちょっとなんていうかな違って、ドイツは結構そういう育児休暇、paternity or maternity leave の制度がすごくしっかりしているので、 1年間休憩を取ってとりあえずマイアミに行きましょうってちょっとうちの、嫁と話して、でそこでブーツにも戻りませんでした今まで。9年後まだこちらにいます。高橋先生もご存知では
はい。
で、
エリさん、もしよろしかったらクリッカーもあるので、どちらでも。
So ちょっと英語に変えます。So I just want to give you a quick overview why Japan is such an important market to work with. So if you didn't know yet, I mean, you're studying Japanese and some of you economics or business administration. It's the third largest economy after the US and China. And it is the fourth largest importer of US products. And why, this is basically the slide that I showed to potential clients of mine, why they should invest in Japan or consider selling to Japan. So it's like a sales proposition why Japan is a good market to sell towards. But I don't want to focus on this too much. The challenges that most companies are usually facing is the cultural and the language barriers. When they try to go to the Japanese market, they don't speak the language and they don't know how to communicate, not only on a language level, but how to approach different people in Japan, how to find the right contact person. If they find someone that speaks English, it might not be the decision maker, and so on. So it has a lot of regulations. The competition is a very saturated market. As you might know, the costs can be very high, especially rent. Distribution challenges is because Japanese consumers are used to getting the product within a day or less, or like in a time window. So it's Amazon one day, is in Japan, Amazon one day or maybe 2 hours or 3 hours. You can actually decide in which time period you want your product to be delivered to your house. And then obviously consumer preferences are different than in the Western world. So I want to do a quick Japanese business. Usually in the past 3 or 4 years that I've had the honor to give this lecture, I was just focusing on Japanese business culture and the differences. And so I want to do a quick rundown with all of you to guess what, because I'm sure you know most of those things already. So for example, number one, what is the primary focus of decision making in Japanese business culture? Is it a top-down leadership, individualistic approach, consensus-driven process, majority rule, or intuitive gut feeling? Might be pretty obvious. I'll just pick someone. Go ahead.
Would it be top-down leadership?
Read the question again. What is the primary focus of decision making in Japanese business culture? It's actually not, it is tempting to say top down because it's very hierarchical, but it's actually a consensus driven process. So when it seems as if in Japan, like the big boss is making the decision, but that's actually not the case if he has not consulted with his team. Whenever you sit in a meeting and you give a proposal and you say, can we make a decision now? In Western meetings, there's usually the CEO, whoever says, okay, let's do it. Or sometimes in China as well, pretty similar there. But in Japan, it's not like that. They will usually, if he doesn't know that he gets approval from the whole team, will say, let us check and we'll get back to you. Because in Japan, a meeting is not a place to make decisions. It's a place to transmit the message that you have priorly agreed on in a consensus-driven process with a team. So you never do that. It can be at a nomikai where you go and drink with your company colleagues, but it's usually never on location. So it's C, consensus-driven. Next one, how would you best describe the communication style in Japanese business? Direct and explicit, indirect and implicit, emotional and expressive, casual and informal, straightforward and to the point, kind of some of those things. Anybody? Yeah, go ahead.
I think I would say direct and person.
Yep, that's pretty obvious, yeah. I mean, in Japan, the communication style in business, you rather try to ask questions and not like demand things to do. Like, this is how we do things, we need to agree on this. Like, you make, do you think, it's always like, it always starts with a question. Always start with the questions, a lot more passive, to avoid any confrontation, because Japan, you might have heard, is the country of harmony, wow. So you try to avoid any direct confrontation. And I think, it doesn't come here, but showing emotions is something that is so a hard confrontation. So for example, I'm from Germany. In Germany, we like to discuss things and be kind of confrontational, a little, well, not confrontational, but we try to, like if two engineers, for example, I used to work at Komatsu, and two engineers talk about a subject, in the end, the one that has the facts and the data wins, and it doesn't matter if it was a bit confrontational. It's not about making friends, it's about being right a bit in meetings. In Japan, this is really a no-go. So the moment that you show emotions or try to be very aggressive, it's something that most Japanese don't appreciate. Next one, which of these best captures the Japanese view on time management? Flexible and casual, strictly scheduled and punctual, short-term and reactive, spontaneous and improvisational, or highly efficient?
Definitely be.
Pardon me?
Definitely be strictly scheduled and punctual.
Yes, absolutely. So I think the one of the most embarrassing things that you can do as a foreigner in Japan, you have like a so-called gaijin bonus, that they will forgive you anything that you do wrong. But if you're not punctual, because that's something that even as a foreigner, they expect from you. So that's like the most crucial thing to keep in mind. Always be 15 minutes earlier than you anticipate. And if you can't make it on time, immediately write, like, I'm sorry, I will arrive 3 minutes late. But then arrive only 2 minutes late. Well, just give yourself some time there. So that's also a big point to consider. What is the primary basis of authority and hierarchy in Japanese companies? Seniority and formal rank, performance and merit, charismatic leadership, democratic elections, technical expertise. That's pretty obvious, right? Exactly, yes, it's A. So we'll do a quick role play after that, so a couple minutes, to see about the importance of seniority. So why do Japanese have business cards? Because they can immediately categorize who they're talking. Am I talking to the right person? If I don't have a business card, I can't see what's the rank. And on the business card, you need to have the rank. If there's no rank on the business card, they will expect that you're just like a junior staff. So that's how they need to categorize to feel comfortable, how to address you and who to talk to. How would you characterize the level of formality in Japanese business interactions? Very formal and ritualized, casual and relaxed, pragmatic and task-focused, egalitarian and inclusive, personal and relationship-driven. Also pretty obvious, I think. Anyone? Yeah, go ahead.
Is it
A? You say? Yeah, very formal and ritualized, yes. Why would you say so? What's your, do you have an example?
I think
Yeah. So it also already expresses in the language and culture, right? So the more formal you are, the better. So better overdress, be humble, polite, than being too casual. I mean, of course, this is like an kind of extreme example, talking more about traditional Japanese companies. There are more modern startups and tech companies that are more flexible, but this is still at the core of Japanese business culture. Next one, which best describes the Japanese attitude towards emotional expression in the workplace? Highly expressive and emotive, subdued and controlled, openly shared and discussed, irrelevant to business, vary based on individual preferences. So this is, we talked a bit about showing emotions. What do you think?
Just from what you mentioned before, is it be subdued and controlled?
Yeah, absolutely. So it is, if you show emotions in a business setting, it shows a kind of weakness, and Japanese might do some, so I had, just to give you an example, I had a client that wanted to do business. They were in the manufacturing sector, and they wanted to work with a precision machining manufacturer, and they asked them the same data, I think 3 or 4 times. And my client started to lose patience, and it's like, why are they asking the same thing again? I said, don't worry, just send them the same data again, and they want to test why or how you will react. They will actually do that if something really happens, something really bad happens, they want to know how you will react in extreme situations. So that's one way of seeing if the business partner that they're working with is really able to cope with their culture, and if they're ready for a long-term business relationship. Because there's also saying the Japanese in business, especially, they prefer the devil they know over the angel they don't know. So even if there's like a supplier that is cheaper, has better quality, better delivery times and whatever, they will not pick him if they don't really know him really well. So they do a lot of due diligence before they get into it. And somebody told me, Takashi said, please correct me if I'm wrong, but in Japan, it is one of the easiest countries to get divorced, but has one of the lowest divorce rates. So you can just go to the city hall, 反抗するだけで離婚ということ
成立。
誰も離婚しないということはないんだけど、離婚率は非常
低い
に低いんでよ。
ですすよね。ちょっと増えてるけど。
So in Japan, it's like, if you ask somebody why, if you're so unhappy in your marriage, why are you still in your marriage? People say, 選んだ人だから。Because I made that decision. So in business, it's the same. They say, if I decide on a business partner, it's because I decided to do that. I decided to go into this long-term relationship. So, next one. Which best describes the Japanese attitude towards, we did that already. What is the primary basis for interpersonal relationships in Japanese business culture? Transactional and impersonal, familial and loyal, professional and task-oriented, competitive and individualistic, detached and formal. This might be a bit more tricky, but what do you think? Interpersonal, so focus on interpersonal relationship in business culture. So let's say, for example, to give you but go ahead if you want.
I mean, I don't know for sure, but I would guess just based on what you're saying, familial and loyal. Just
True.
because, like, I don't know. I mean, example is like, I feel like a lot of people there just work at the same company for, many years and a long time, and loyalty is like respected.
Yes. And do you know that the bucho, or the department head, the boss usually feels responsible for his staff, even to a degree that he will look for a potential partner, like, or a wife, or his. It is actually, yeah. Okay. So there are, I mean, again, it's the year 2024, but still the traditional Japanese companies, like the big shoshas or trade companies, Marubeni, Mitsubishi, Itochu, Sumitomo, and Mitsui, they, just as an example, they have the department heads, they focus on the well-being of their staff. They expect like hard work and overtime and everything, but they will take care, you just work and I take care about everything that happens around your life. So I would make sure that you have, if you don't find, you're too busy to find a date for yourself, I will take care of that, and they will find somebody in the company and they will arrange, like, it's nothing forced, hey, you have to go marry him or something. They will arrange like a nomikai with 5 ladies and 5 guys, more in the same age range, and then you take it from there. That's something that is, I mean, that is something that was very surprising to me, but it is still happening to this day. So that's the level of, what do you call it, familiar and loyal. So on the other side, on the one hand, the bosses see their staff as their kids, and the staff, it's like, I can't leave this company, they've done so much for me. It's like, some people might say, shigoto wa jinsei no subete de wa nai. But in Japan, sometimes it's the other way around. So like, life is work. I have a life because of work, sometimes. Again, in extremes, there are differences, but I'm just giving some examples. Then, how do the Japanese generally approach risk-taking in business decisions? Highly averse and cautious, comfortable and embracing, analytical and data-driven, impulsive and spontaneous, balanced and pragmatic. Something like that. Did you raise your hand? No? Or you can try.
Or I was going to guess A.
Yep, that's correct. Absolutely. So, again, in the meaning of they prefer the devil they know over the angel they don't know. They like the worst. Like risk is the worst thing that you can tell like a Japanese. They will pay double price if they can avoid any risk. So risk is because risk is uncertainty, and if it's not in the manual and they don't know how to deal with it, it's like they like a lot like the standardizations and the rules in business. And if there's something that is uncertain where they have to improvise, that's very difficult. It's very difficult. And by now I haven't really seen a really good Japanese improv theater or anything like that. I know that they are out there, but improvising is not like something that I've experienced a lot in Japan. So to give you an example, my wife, she always got upset at McDonald's because she wanted her burger a certain way. She's from Ecuador, in Japan, and they could never do it because like no, it comes as it is. You can take out or leave, you can take out whatever you want, but we have to give it to you this way. It's impossible to do it differently. What is the typical Japanese attitudes towards work-life balance? Strict separation between work and personal, blurred boundaries and long work hours, prioritize personal life over work, flexible and accommodating, optimize for maximum productivity. That's also pretty easy, I guess. Anybody that hasn't yet? Yeah, that's correct. So it's basically I have actually like a resource, we still have time to talk about. Your work is your community. As I mentioned, not only because your boss might look for a partner for you, but also because those are the people that you hang out with most. You, after work, you might go and have a drink with them. On the weekends, if you really want to go up the career ladder, you might go golfing with them. So you need to become friends with the people that you work with, because there is not much time in the rest of the day if you really focus on work. Of course, don't get me wrong, when I worked at Komatsu, there are some people that are not full-time employees, or they're called, it's like seishain, say is like correct employees, but they're also hakenshain, which are like outsourced. They work full-time, but they're not on the, let's say, they will not get up the career ladder because they're not official employees. They're just, they know they have like a 1-year contract, and then they might be replaced or not. So there are different kinds of employees, but if you are a full-time official employee of a company and you want to go up the career ladder, you have to dedicate a lot of time to your company. And the ones that do that will usually get the appraisals and so on. Good. Let's move on.